You know what, Casey? Thank you for a wonderful opportunity. And I'm excited because we just got two reports this week from two of our clients that are doing record numbers, okay? Jersey Mike Subs. I sit on their corporate board. I just saw a video that was posted on the business channel. They are up 40%, okay? 40%. They are up 40%, and all of a sudden, Subway's looking over their shoulder. Why? Because Jersey Mike's is coming. And my mindset is if I'm going to be on your team, we're going to win. Okay? We're right here in Oklahoma at another event with another big client, a casino, Choctaw Casino and Resorts. We've been working with them for a couple of years. They just had their highest customer ratings ever. And the president and leader of the casino sent me a text yesterday and said, Walter, thank you. Thank you for what you've done. And honestly, all we've done is talk the shark mindset. That's what we're doing. We're going to teach the shark mindset. All right, so man, make sure that you understand today Catapult is the next level. Okay, I know you're business owners. I know you are really fired up and charged up, and you're trying to go for the throat. Okay, you're trying to be big time. You're not taking any prisoners. I love it. That's who I am. We don't take prisoners, right? We go to be number one, and we don't quit. So Subway, you better watch out because we're coming for you. That's my mentality, and hopefully that's your mentality. So today's a great day. All right? Today is a great day. I want you to be fired up. I want you to be ready to learn. I want you to be able to listen. But most importantly, I need you to be coachable. Just have a mindset of being coachable. And here's what today is all about. Now, being a former athlete, we have what we call the off season. And in the off season, you didn't work in your business. You worked on your business. Guess what today is, ladies and gentlemen? Today, Catapult is your off season. It's going to be a power-packed day, and I want you to understand that you're going to be transformed today. So first of all, I want to welcome all of our first-timers, okay? And give them another round of applause because I want you to understand that they have brought to you an award-winning Hall of Fame motivational speaker. So give Cultivate Advisors a round of applause. Give them some claps. Give them some cheers. I saw some notes earlier that someone here today heard me at a Brian Buffini event, and we're going to talk about that because the whole concept of the shark, the suckerfish, and the parasite happened at this event with Brian Buffini. I talked in front of 3,000 realtors for the first time about the shark, the suckerfish, and the parasite. When I got backstage, there was a big, tall man backstage named Mark Victor Hansen. Okay, for you readers, you better know who Mark Victor Hansen is. Mark Victor Hansen is the author of Chicken Soup for Your Soul. Him and Jack Canfield have sold probably 100 million books. When he heard me talk about the shark, the suckerfish, and the parasite, he was like, Walter, you got to write a book, and it's got to be a parable. And let me tell you something. I'm coachable, okay? I'm teachable. We wrote the book Swim, and inside the book Swim, we teach the shark mindset. And guys, Jersey Mike Subs has a shark mindset. They buy it for all their managers, okay? Because we're going to teach you how to be an impact player. We're also going to teach you how to be an amazing leader. Today, we're going to talk about being a great leader, okay? So today is going to be jam-packed. We got some other wonderful speakers. We're going to have some sessions. You're going to have some breakouts. And most importantly, you're going to get a chance to process what you're going to learn today. Okay, I'm about to drop some knowledge on you right now. I'm going to touch your mind, your heart, your body, and your soul. And I'm telling you one thing, you're going to have to go and talk about it. You're going to have to be brief because I need you to understand what this means for you. And let me make one more statement before I get into my powerful message, okay? There are three kind of people on this earth: sharks, suckerfish, and parasite. I don't care what business you're in. The real business you're in the business of people. That's what I share with this casino I'm with, who are doing record numbers. And that's what we share with Jersey Mike Subs, who's about to kick Subway's butt. It's all about people. It's all about three types of people. And let me be clear. There are three types of people that you have to learn how to manage if you're going to go to the next level in your business. Are you ready? There are sharks, there are suckerfish, and there are parasites, okay? And Cultivate Advisors are sharks, big-time sharks, and they came along to help you grow your business. Now, let me give a shout-out to one sponsor before I get into your message, because here's the truth. Sponsors, you got to love sponsors. I'm from Chicago, Southside. We call them sugar daddies and sugar mamas. So I want to give a shout out to a sponsor because they're very important for us to be able to bring this quality programming to you. My shout out goes to Clark Public Accounting. It is a full-service accounting firm serving your small to mid-sized businesses. They're going to keep you out of jail, okay? And they're going to keep Uncle Sam off your back. They work as your accounting business partner, okay? You need an accounting partner. If you're not big enough to have a CFO who's full-service, full-time, I have a client right now in Michigan. They didn't even have a CFO. They're doing like $25 million. I'm like, dude, you're going to jail, okay? You better get you someone who can help make sure your books are right, okay? Stop by their booth for a free 30-minute CPA consultation. I love the price. For 30 minutes, for free, they're going to sit down and consult you for free. So make sure you stop by their booth, because I don't want you to go to jail, and I'm sure you don't want to go to jail either. So it's very important to get your numbers right. Okay, so now let's talk. The shark, the suckerfish, and the parasite. You know, the first question you got to have is like, where did you even get this idea? Okay, here's the backstory. I'm from the Midwest, okay? I'm a Chicago guy, okay? And I know Cultivate Advisors are based in Chicago. I love deep dish pizza. I grew up watching the Chicago Bears. I'm from the south side of Chicago, okay? It is what it is. And I lived in Minneapolis for about 20 years, and I would go fishing in lakes. But my wife is from Miami. And after a while, the winters began to wear on her, and so now we live in Florida. And so now we fish in oceans, okay? Hear me clearly. Whether you fish in a lake or an ocean, the same concepts apply, right? You have a fishing pole, you got some bait, and you want to land some fish. So even though you're in a bigger body of water, and there's a lot more at stake, the very fundamentals of fishing are the same. I say that because no matter how big your company is or how small your company is, you still got to master fundamentals. And the only way you're going to reach your potential in business is that you must master the fundamentals of business. How do I know? Because on my way to the NBA, there is no way I could have played in the NBA if I didn't master the fundamentals of basketball. So the same thing is true as a motivational speaker. I had to master the fundamentals of a brand new industry. So whatever industry you're in, you must master the fundamentals of your industry. So for a long time, I fished in lakes, but I got a chance to fish in the ocean. And the ocean obviously is dangerous, but the ocean has a lot more opportunity. Are you with me? And so I take a captain with me. Why? Because I don't want to die. I believe in coaching, okay? I love to have people around me who know what they're doing. And that's what Cultivate Advisors are all about. They know what they're doing. They can help you grow your business. And that's why you're a part of this deal today, okay? So first timers, lock in, baby. Lock in, because it's about your next level, okay? And it's great to have coaches because they're going to teach you how to master the fundamentals. So this captain on this boat, he talks too much. You guys ever been around people who talk too much? You know, when somebody talks too much, sometimes you're afraid to ask questions because they don't know when to stop. Now, the captain's a nice guy, but I talk for a living, okay? This is how I make my money. I do about 80 to 100 gigs a year, right? And so when I'm on this boat, I don't want to talk. I just want to be at peace with myself and my thoughts. But the captain is a talkaholic. And so every time I catch a fish, I got one simple question. Can I eat it or not? Listen to me carefully. I'm simple. Can I eat it or not? I don't make it complicated. Can I eat it or not? Some of you guys are struggling in business because you overthink everything. Keep it simple, man. Keep it simple. Everything you do, keep it simple. Don't overthink anything, okay? Keep it very simple. Can I eat it or not? So this one day, I caught this crazy little fish. And it was weak and frail. And I asked my question, yo, Captain, can we eat it or not? If we could eat it, throw it in the bucket. If not, throw it back. So I grabbed this little fish, and I said, hey, Captain, can we eat it or not? He goes, no, but watch this. Guys, he took the fish off my hook and stuck it on the top of the boat. And I kept fishing, but this fish defied gravity. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I kept fishing. I was like, man, that's crazy. What kind of fish is that? And so eventually I said, yo, Captain, I was afraid to ask my question. Why? Because he talked too much. I said, Captain, what kind of fish is that? He goes, Walter, it's a suckerfish. Huh? Walter, it's a remora, but its nickname is Suckerfish. And all of a sudden I was intrigued, Suckerfish. And I'm thinking, how's this little weak fish make it in this big old ocean? And that's when I asked my question, how did the suckerfish make it in the ocean? And Catapult hit me clearly. Man, the answer was a game changer. This is what he says. He said a suckerfish flails in the ocean waiting for a shark to come by. The suckerfish flails in the ocean waiting for a shark to come by. The suckerfish is flailing in the ocean waiting for a shark to come by. And when the shark comes by, it connects to the shark. That is how the suckerfish survives. And the shark takes the suckerfish places it's not strong enough to take themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, I was done fishing. I just dropped my pole, and for the rest of that boat ride, I was just thinking, that's how I made it to the NBA. That's how I became a Hall of Fame motivational speaker. And that's how I became a best-selling author. I'm a suckerfish, and I've been waiting for my shark to come by. Ladies and gentlemen, I went home. My wife looked at me at the door. She said, how'd it go? I said, babe, I had a great fishing trip. She goes, where's the fish? I said, babe, I didn't catch many fish, but I have an idea for a book that I believe is going to change lives. I'm going to do a little bit of some research, but I believe this thing is just happening organically, supernaturally. And the first time I spoke about the shark and the suckerfish and the parasite was in front of 3,000 realtors. And one of our guests today was there. And Mark Victor Hansen confirmed that something supernaturally happened to me on that boat that really quantified everything I've ever done. And I want to teach that to you today. See, on my journey to become an NBA ball player and all the cool things I've done, it didn't start very easy. In fact, in the beginning, my life was kind of tough. Now, I'm from Chicago. My parents were teachers. But here's my truth, guys. I flunked out of my first high school. Now, don't get the wrong idea. I went to one of these top academic schools, right? My brother and sister went there. I'm the youngest. And here's my truth. My brother and sister did great there academically. I applied for this school, but I didn't get accepted. Okay? So my attitude was like, forget them. They don't want me. I don't want them. Truth is, I was hurt. Truth is, I felt rejected, but all of a sudden, these defense mechanisms began to kick in. Forget them. If they don't want me, I don't want them. My dad was a high school principal. He wrote a letter, and he got me in. But what happened to my emotions? What happened to me mentally is the fact that they rejected me. I did not believe I was as smart as these kids. So when I got into the classroom, I didn't compete. When I got into the classroom, I was completely paralyzed because it was a mental thing. I really believe these kids are smarter than me, and therefore I can't compete with them because they're smarter than me. Now, Michelle Obama went to this high school. Jesse Jackson kids went to this high school. This high school, Whitney Young in Chicago, literally had the smartest kids in Chicago there. And the fact that I didn't think I was worthy, I sabotaged me. Now, I can stop right there and teach a whole lesson about your mindset. Because here's the truth. Every big business started small at some point, right? I mean, at some point, Walmart was small, and then they got big. At some point, Target was small, then they got big. Bernie Marcus, the founder of Home Depot, is one of my neighbors. And the truth is that Home Depot started small. He raised $2 million to launch Home Depot, and the rest is history. So the worst thing you can do is have a mindset to say, you know, I'm just a little small business over here in the Midwest. I'm just a little small company over here. You know what? You got to have a mindset that, you know what? I'm ready to compete with anybody. And here's the truth about a shark. You guys know a shark grows about a foot a year? I'm going to say it again. A shark grows about a foot a year. And I know I'm speaking to business leaders. I want you to hear me clearly, because here's the truth. You go home at night, some of you, saying to yourself, man, my people don't get it. My receptionist doesn't get it. My sales team doesn't get it. I need more out of my people. I came here to tell you we need to flip the paradigm because I believe your people need more out of you. Oh, come on, talk back to me. I believe your people need more out of you. I come from an industry where they don't fire the players, they fire the coach. Come on, man. Think about your favorite team in the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball. If the coach doesn't get it done, they don't fire the players, they fire the coach. Why? Because it's all about leadership. And great coaches get paid big money because they're worthy. Nick Saban gets paid big money in Alabama because he's worthy. Bill Belichick makes big money with the New England Patriots because he's worthy. Dusty Baker, are you kidding me? The Houston Astros coach? That guy, all he does is win. Like DJ Khaled says, all I do is win. All he does is win. So why wouldn't you pay that coach a whole lot of money because you're guaranteed victory? So can I ask you a question? Do you see yourself as a leader or do you see yourself as a coach? When I flunked out of my first high school, I'm so thankful that my parents were teachers. And they are coaches, and they got to work. They realized that their youngest boy was struggling, but their attitude is that we don't need more out of him. He needs more out of us. And my dad came up with the bright idea that he's going to transfer me to his high school. Now, you don't know Chicago. Let me teach you something about Chicago. Whitney Young is right off downtown, nice, safe environment. My dad always worked in the hood. So when he made the decision for me to transfer to his high school, many people thought he was crazy. Willie, you're in a bad neighborhood. Willie, you're in a low-income environment. He sent 2 messages. I believe in the school so much, I'll let my own child come here. But second, his attitude was if my son needs more out of me, I got to spend quality time with my son. Before we even talk about the shark, the suckerfish, and the parasite, can we talk about the C student? Can we just talk about the C student for a moment? Because the C student can change the world. The C student is transformational. Some of you leaders are frustrated with some of your C employees, and you're going home to bed with the wrong mentality. You think you need more out of them, but they need more out of you, coach. You see, Bill Belichick was a 6th-round pick, but you know what? Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. But you know what Bill Belichick said? Give him to me. You guys see a 6th-round pick. I see the greatest quarterback of all time. Give him to me. I'll coach him. Give him to me. I'll teach him fundamentals. Give him to me. I'll put him in my system. Give him to me. I'll put him in my culture. That's the heart of the coach. A coach has a heart and attitude that simply says, give him to me. I'll make them better. Give them to me. I'll help them reach their potential. So remember that from today. If you don't remember anything else from what I'm talking about today, you think you need more out of your people. But I'm here to tell you, your people need more out of you. The first thing my dad did in that coaching section in the car, he built my confidence. From the south side of Chicago to the west side was an hour drive. And all the way to school. My father, who's now my high school principal, built my confidence. You're just as smart as your brother and sister, but your value system is screwed up. You're just as smart as your brother and sister, but your value system is screwed up. So, Coach, can I ask you a question? How good are you at building someone's confidence? I'm pretty sure you're good at correcting and teaching and holding people accountable. That's a favorite one the leaders have. I want to hold you accountable. Here's the truth. How good are you at building your people's confidence, Coach? Because confidence is the most important aspect of anyone's success. In fact, if you have kids at home, trust me, the number one thing you can do for your children, boy or girl, is to build their confidence. Confidence is the number one factor in anyone's success. A great coach is always going to build confidence. So here's a little sidebar. Are you a coach or a fruit inspector? You see, a coach walks around with the whistle and is always encouraging, always teaching, always making sure they're installing the system. But a fruit inspector walks around with the machete, right? A fruit inspector, something wrong, I'm just going to hack it. Something wrong, I'm going to whack it. In the equivalent in the business world, you only call me when something's wrong. You only email me when something's wrong. Oh, you want to do a Zoom and a face-to-face when something's wrong. You didn't say a thing when I closed the last deal. You didn't say a thing with all my presentations. The only time I hear from you is when I screw up. Now, can I ask you a question? Have you ever had an idiot for a boss? I know a boss right now. But this is a very, very good question. In high school, in college, along your development, before you launch your company, did you ever have an idiot for a boss? Raise your hand. Put it in the chat. If you've ever had an idiot for a boss, just put it in the chat. Yes. Clap. Show me something. Say, Walter, I've had a bad boss. Isn't it painful? To have a bad boss, sometimes getting in the shower is an ordeal. You're sitting there watching the clock. You're laying in the bed, and you're saying to yourself, oh, God, I got to go to work. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So the question that I have for you today, if you're somebody's boss right now, there's a chance that you're somebody's idiot. The truth is, I remember my first baseball coach. His name was Mr. Carmichael. We did not win one game the whole season. I'm 8 years old, and it was traumatic. But after practice, I would get in the car. My mom would say, how'd it go today? Mom, Mr. Carmichael smells funny. Mr. Carmichael smells funny. I don't know what alcoholic smelled like when you're 8 years old. All I know is that Mr. Carmichael smelled funny. You see, leadership has an aroma. Leadership has an aroma. I want you to think about what aroma does your leadership have? Right? I'm here at a great resort right here in Choctaw. I'm in Durant, Oklahoma, 4-star resort in the middle of Oklahoma. And one of the things they offer aromatherapy, which means by smelling certain smells, they can heal the body, they can relax you, they can transform you just by aromatherapy, by smelling the right things. So I'm going to ask this question again. What kind of aroma does your leadership have? I'm hoping your leadership smells like flower and potpourri and nice fragrant smells. And I hope you're not like Mr. Carmichael, who smelled funny. All the way to high school, my dad built my confidence because he understood that my son is struggling and he needs more out of me. They would hear me talk. Those kids are smarter than me, Mom. Those kids are smarter than me, Mom. Those kids are smarter than me, Mom. I got videos when I played in the NBA, scoring against Michael Jordan. People would say, oh my God, you played against Michael Jordan? Absolutely. What was that like? I love Michael Jordan. I think he's the best ever. But what was it like? I tried to kick his butt. I tried to kick his butt because if I don't think that way, am I worthy to play in the NBA? So I'm going to ask you as a leader, what kind of confidence do you have? If you're not completely and extremely confident, it's going to be really hard for you to build someone else's confidence. If you're going to be really a great coach, you got to be secure in you, okay? You got to be secure in who you are. So the first thing we got to talk about today, when I think about the shark, the suckerfish, and the parasite, remember, the suckerfish is flailing in the ocean waiting for a shark to come by. When I was flailing in the ocean, flunking out of high school, luckily I had a shark right in my house, my high school principal. He had me write down my goals. And every day he said, son, just look at your goals. Just look at your goals. So these were my goals in high school, 17 years old. I'm going to graduate college in 4 years. I'm going to play in NBA. And I'm going to make more money in business than I did in sports. See, he had 2 of his other kids who were impact players. But his son was doing great in sports, but was failing in school. And that was unacceptable to him. See, as a leader, some things got to be unacceptable. But you have to be able to coach it, okay? A lot of people want to fire it. When I'm teaching you, you got to coach it. See, a lot of business leaders I deal with, they say, Walter, I'm struggling because you can't find good help. A coach doesn't think that way. A coach is not looking for good help. A coach understands I got to develop my help. I got to coach my help. And this is what can transform your life right now. You ready? At the local high school, okay? This is the next generation of employees. They have tons of programs for A students, right? A honor roll, student government. And they got tons of programs for F students. Detention, truancy, right? But if you think about the local high school, there is nothing for a C student. Absolutely nothing for the C student. When I think about the C student, I think about an average employee. An average employee is just like that suckerfish, flailing in the ocean, waiting for a shark to come by. What I'm trying to tell you right now as the business leader, you got to build impact players on your team. But as a coach, it's your job to recruit, develop, and retain top talent. Recruit, develop, and retain top talent. Recruit, develop, and retain top talent. One of the most famous businesses in the world had a mentality where they served the C student. You guys know in high school, our teachers threatened us, right? They said to us, you know what? If you don't get your act together, you're going to be somewhere flipping burgers. You know what McDonald's said? Give them to me. Give them to me. Isn't it ironic that McDonald's, the most amazing franchise we've ever seen, built their business off the C student? Because their heart are just like coaches. Give them to me. Give them to me. They built Hamburger University, okay? And Hamburger University is a training and development program that teaches kids leadership. Right now, the chief diversity officer started working at McDonald's at 16. I'm sure he walked in there with his head down because he's got to go flip some burgers. But McDonald's put him through Hamburger University. Now he's back, a grown man and a business leader, an executive, because McDonald's is a training and development organization masquerading as a food franchise. Hello. What if your company, coach, became a training and development organization masquerading as a business? See, I don't care what business you're in because I believe we're all in the same business. We're all in the business of people. And if you're going to be a great leader, Catapult, you got to work closely with cultivate advisors because they're going to teach you the fundamentals. But the one thing I don't want you to never forget, as you work on increasing revenue, as you work on, cutting your budgets, and as you work on saving money and attacking your A customer. I can do a whole program on the A customer. So many people spend a whole lot of time and they don't even go after the A customer. When I go fishing, I know what kind of fish I want. Okay, for the most part, I know what kind of fish I want, and I set my hook for a certain type of fish. But I'm so thankful that one day the suckerfish just happened to get on my line because it changed my life. Because, guys, I was a suckerfish for a long time until my shark came by. See, my family had core values. And I want to challenge you because I work with a lot of CEOs. And some people think core values are an exercise that you do one day and then you tuck them in a drawer, especially HR's drawer. I was doing an event for an electrical company, $400 million company, and I'm talking to the CEO. I asked the CEO a simple question. What are your core values? As I prepare to do my keynote for your group, you guys got some challenges. You're bringing me in to inspire and to motivate. I need to know your core values. Guess what the CEO says? Walter, hold on. And remember old school people would muffle the phone like in high school? Remember that? And you can still hear him? This guy muffles the phone, and I can hear him. Hey, Walter wants to know our core values. Can we get somebody from HR up here? And I thought to myself, this is the CEO, and he didn't even know the core values. See, you can't have the culture you want if you don't have core values that are alive. I'm going to say it one more time. It is impossible to build the right culture if your core values aren't alive. Why? Because core values govern culture. Core values govern culture. If your core values aren't big, here's what happens. People bring their own individual core values. So if you have a little chaos, if you have a little toxic smell, if you got something that's not quite right, that's not their fault, that's your fault. Because if you're not preaching core values to me, my natural default are my own individual core values. And now we run the risk of being controlled by personalities. We've all seen companies before. Had a strong leader, strong personality. The leader leaves and the entire company falls apart. Why? Because the company was built on a person's personality and it wasn't built on core values. So when I think about legacy, when I think about the next generation, when I think about you building a business that can live on beyond you, the only way this can happen is through core values. I mean, Ford Motors. We don't even attribute that to a family anymore, right? But core values in the beginning is what made it Ford, right? So ask yourself the question, am I talking to you? I mean, did you do core values one day and then just kind of tuck them into the office? Or are they alive and well governing? At home, did your family have core values? My mom and dad had core values. There was only a couple. My mother was a kindergarten teacher, and she would always say, be sweet, baby, be sweet. Be sweet, baby, be sweet. My dad was old school, country boy from Tennessee. His core value is go get it, son. Go get it. Go get it, son. Go get it. For the most part, my family had three core values. Be sweet, baby. Be sweet. Go get it, son. Go get it. And education is key. So when I flunked out of my high school, I let the family down. I was embarrassed. I was down on myself. And I was beating myself up. Here's what coaches need to understand. That when a person screws up, they know they screwed up. So why would you come in there and beat them up? They already know they screwed up. They already know they made a mistake. So great coaches understand the psyche of their people. Your number one job, because this can transform your culture. If you make a decision today just to constantly build your people's confidence, to constantly, no matter what, be the leader with the right aroma. Because if you have the right aroma, you'll attract people who want to follow you. If you have the wrong aroma, you will repel people. You're going to have constant turnover. You're going to have constant turnover. You're going to have constant turnover, which is very expensive. Another thing you got to think about, guys, is that my family set goals. Companies set goals. My company has goals. Jersey Mike's has goals. This casino has goals. But you have to make the goals common for one reason. Until everyone's focused on the same goal, you don't have what I call shared fate. See, in sports, we either win together or we lose together. That's called shared fate. The best sporting event is the NCAA tournament. Why? Because if we lose, we all lose. You guys know the NCAA basketball tournament, people take off work. And when your team loses, the cheerleaders are crying, the players are crying, the coaches are crying, the parents are crying, and the AD is upset. Why? Because we lost. It's a shared fate. But when you win, the cheerleaders are happy, the players are happy, the coach is happy, the parents are happy, and the athletic director are happy, and all the fans at home eating chicken wings at the local sports bar are happy. And the answer is simple. We won or we lost. It's called shared fate. Right now, this casino I'm working with, the leader of the casino thanked me. Because as soon as I took over, I said, you know what, to unify your organization, we took them through a 2-year program on teaching them teamwork. And I told them it is very important that we create shared fate. And we had a bunch of coaching sessions with him one-on-one. And he realized their customer satisfaction score is a shared fate they all can contribute to. The valet contributes. The spa contributes. The bar and restaurants contributes. The blackjack dealers contribute. And I said, let's get everyone focused on the core values and the shared fate. And they were able to connect. The core values are going to help us get to the shared fate, which is the customer satisfaction. By using simple fundamentals, we help this organization reach their highest customer satisfaction score ever. And he sent me a note and just said, thank you, Walter. Just thank you. We hired you to be our coach. And just thank you. Jersey Mike's, same deal. Hey, Walter, we're number 3 right now. And Peter Cancro, the founder, played high school football, very competitive. And he simply says, man, Walter, I like you, man. Be sweet, baby. Be sweet. Be sweet. I think about my mom all the time. He said, Walter, I like you, man. I need you to be our voice. He sent me around the country motivating all their managers. He sent me around the country motivating all their managers. He sent me around the country to teach their managers leadership. Why? Because they know my heart. Just like McDonald's. Give them to me. Give them to me. In fact, if you look at the human body, the head is important. But if you go to the doctor, most issues are going to happen in the midsection. In fact, when kids are little, the only complaint they have is, Mom, my tummy hurts, right? So think about the human body. The core is very important. And what I taught Jersey Mike said, what I'm going to teach you today, Catapult, is that the core value to strengthen your managers, which to me are the midsection. They're the core of any organization. Yeah, you got to be smart, but coach, you're the head. How good are you at developing your managers who are the core? Most issues that burden organizations is because they have a weak core. Give them to me, I said. Give them to me. So, coach, you have to be a coach. It is so important for you to be the coach. Or should I say, you got to be the shark. And everybody that works for you is the suckerfish. And honestly, that's a symbiotic relationship. Sharks need suckerfish, and suckerfish need sharks. Sharks need suckerfish, and suckerfish need sharks. Let me teach you something very, very powerful. Okay? Are you ready? This could be transformative. Because when I got back home, I began to focus on the shark and the suckerfish. And I did research. And you guys got to read my book, Swim. I'm telling you, that's a shame of self-promotion. But it's a bestseller. But Wiley Publishing said, Walter, we want to do your next 3 books. This book has such an impact through COVID that we want to do your next 3 books. Because the way we write these books, they're real, they're simple, they're down to earth, and people get tons of results. So what I did at first, I went home and studied the shark. I thought to myself, there's only one fish in the ocean we worry about, right? Think about it. If you go to the beach, and you have a nice little picnic on the beach, Mom, you worry about a shark. And we're in that water swimming around. There's only one fish in that ocean that we worry about. It's a shark. Why? Because sharks are impact players. So I went home and I did homework and research on the characteristics of a shark. And why are they such an impact player in the ocean? And in the book Swim, we characterize the sacred 6. And here they are. I'm going to give them to them real briefly. Could you imagine what benefit it could have if everyone in your organization was an impact player operating just like a shark? First of all, sharks never stop moving forward or they die. I mean, think about that. Sharks are in constant movement. Their work ethic is impeccable. Sharks don't float through the ocean. They are always moving forward. Sharks outwork every other fish in the sea. They should be in charge. They should be the boss. Why? Because they outwork everyone. So imagine if your new hire knew the sacred 6. Imagine if you had a culture where, hey man, everyone here works hard, right? That's the number one reason why sharks are in the ocean. If you look at National Geographic and some of the Shark Week shows, you'll see scars and bruises. You can tell the sharks have been into some battles, but they never stop moving forward or they die. The way a shark breathes is through its movement. So I'm going to ask you a question. Are you moving your company forward? Are you moving your company forward at the right pace? Are you allowing your company to go backwards? No, if a shark goes backwards, it will suffocate. They breathe through the movement in the water because their gills need the oxygen from the water. Sharks never stop moving forward or they die. What a great metaphor for life. What if your teenagers understood? Never stop moving forward. When I flunked out of my first high school, my mom and dad had to pick me up off the floor because I was embarrassed and say, son, this family produces student athletes. He kept me moving forward. Sacred 6, number 2. Sharks only look up. They never look down. Now think about that metaphor. They only look up. They never look down, which means sharks are very positive. And sharks don't get distracted by petty. Can I ask you a question, leader? If I ask all your teammates and your employees, hey, is your boss positive? What would the answer be, coach? No. You don't get to be in the room. I want you to step out the room. And if I just sat down with your team, with your people, it might be 10 people, it might be 100 people, it might be 300 people. Jersey Mike's, I sat in front of 3,000 people. And one thing I know about Peter Kincrow, that man is positive no matter what. He's a shark because he only looks up. He never looks down. Can I ask you a question? Do you look down? Sometimes? Every now and then? Sharks never look down. They only look up. I've had swimmers and divers call me and say, Walter, I swim with sharks. And you're right. As long as I stay below the shark, they don't even notice me. They don't even see me. Why? Because a shark is focused on what's above them and they're focused on what's ahead of them. So can I ask you a question, business leaders? Do you only look up or do you go hands down? Do you get discouraged because your energy is everything? Because your team is going to feed off of you. You can't afford to look down. You can't afford to be negative. You can't afford to be critical. Now, yeah, you got to be real. Yeah, you got to be honest. But you can still be positive with your correction. This family produces student athletes, son. You're just as smart as your brother and sister, but your value system is screwed up. That's what I call brutal honesty. And that's what I call confronting a situation. Wow, he built my confidence. It's a skill. It's an art that great coaches have. How much time do you build? And how much time do you invest in building confidence? How positive is your culture? Nobody benefits from a negative culture. Now, the fact that you guys are involved with Cultivate Advisors, I'm pretty confident that the lion's share of you are positive. And you come to these coaching sessions, and you and your advisor have a great conversation. But the question is, when you show back up in front of your team, are you bringing that positive energy into your culture? Are you bringing that are you transferring that positive energy to your organization and your culture? You're the coach, and they're going to rise and fall on your leadership. Here's the third of the sacred six. Many people compare these to the 7 Habits by Stephen Covey. Sharks are curious and always learn. You guys know sharks are the smartest fish in the ocean. Here's why they bite us. They bite us because they're curious. Sharks don't like to eat us. We're nasty to a shark. But their curiosity sometimes gets the best of them. You see, they love turtles. If you look at the human body, we can be similar to a turtle, right? And I hate to say this, but through COVID, the average American has gained 28 pounds. So in that water, we might look just like a turtle, okay? The truth is, a turtle can rotate its head, and a turtle has arms and legs. So they see us at the beach, and they say to themselves, is that a person or is that a turtle? And just like a little kid, they don't have hands. The only way they can learn is by biting. That's why we hear about shark bites. And we rarely hear about someone getting eaten alive by a shark. Now, you might say, how about Jaws, Walter? Hey, reel it in. That was a movie. Okay? You never hear about someone getting eaten by a shark. They take a bite because they're curious. And they typically spit us out because they like fishy stuff. Does that make sense to you? Sharks are curious and always learning. So can I ask you a question? How many books have you read on leadership? How many books have you read on customer service? How many books have you read on marketing? See, for me to play in the NBA, I had to master all the fundamentals of basketball. I had to dribble like an NBA ball player. I had to shoot like an NBA ball player. I had to run like an NBA ball player. I had to jump like an NBA ball player. I had to pass like an NBA ball player. I had to master all the fundamentals in order to be elite. I had to master all the fundamentals in order to become the best in the world at what I did. So the question is, are you mastering the fundamentals of your industry? Have you mastered your marketing? Have you mastered leadership? Okay? Have you mastered selling? You know what? One of the things that a lot of organizations do, they don't really have a sales culture, right? Nothing happens in business until something is sold. Do your people know how to sell? Do they know how to upsell? Do they know how to overcome objections? Do they know how to follow up? Do they know how to ask for referrals? Do you have a professional sales staff? I do a lot of sales trainings. I do a lot of sales rallies. And I ask people as a sales professional and they get conflicted. Because if I'm a lawyer, let me say, if I'm a painter, shouldn't I paint all day? Right? If I'm a cook or chef, shouldn't I cook all day? If I'm a lawyer, shouldn't I lawyer all day? Right? So if your sales team call themselves sales reps, shouldn't they be selling all day? One of the things I did to really, really catapult my business is simple. I was able to grow a business rapidly because of habits and rituals. I call 25 people a day and ask them to buy. I call 25 people a day and ask them to buy. I call 25 people a day and ask them to buy. Let's do the math. 25 times 5 is what? Put it in the chat. What's 25 times 5? What is it? Put it in the chat. I'm not going to go for it until I see it in the chat. What's 25? What is 25 times 5? 125. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. What's 125 times 5? Put it in the chat. Not Daniel. No, it's not. I wouldn't have cheated off my paper. 125 times 5 is what? I'm sorry, I'm doing this wrong. 25 calls a day times 5 is 125. 125 times 4 is what? Isn't it 500? Am I doing this wrong? I'm confused right now. Anyway, 25 calls a day in a year's time, guys. There you go, 500. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Daniel. You got it right. 500 a month times 12 is what? 6,000. Okay? By me calling 25 people a day, asking them to buy, in a year's time, I called 6,000 people and asked them to buy. Think about that. In 1 year, I asked 6,000 people to buy. Within 3 years, guys, I doubled my MBA income. And people are like, oh my God, we've never seen a speaker grow so fast. Before I knew I was on big stages, doing big keynotes. And people say, man, what's your secret? What's your secret? What's your secret? I don't have freaking secrets. To play in the NBA, I had to have good habits and good rituals. I shot 500 shots a day, every single day. By shooting 500 shots a day, every single day, I mastered that fundamental. When I got on the phone as a sales rep, entrepreneur, I had to feed my wife and kids. I didn't make big NBA money, right? I didn't make LeBron and Kobe money. I made Walter Bond money, which means I had a year to get back to work. But in a year's time, I called 6,000 people and asked them to buy. I did that 3 years straight, guys. In 3 years, I called 18,000 people and asked them to buy. The truth is, I had to wear all the hats in my company, okay? So if you have a sales team, ask that question. Are you guys selling all day? I mean, if you are a sales rep, I mean, shouldn't you just say, come on, coach, you're the coach. You're the coach. You're the coach. Go call your sales team together and just simply say, if you're a sales rep on our team, I need you selling all day. Because if you're selling all day, you're going to close more deals. If you're selling all day, you're going to get more in the pipeline. If you're selling all day, you're going to get better at selling. By being on the phone 18,000 times, guys, you guys know how good I am on the phone now? I had 3 years of practice, 18,000 reps. So not only did I benefit from the revenue of closing deals, the most important thing I did, I got really good on the phone. So just like in the NBA, if you left me open, I'm going to knock that down. Why? I'm a pro. I've been doing this my whole life, and I work hard at it. I practice it. So now in sales, I've been doing this all day. If you need a keynote speaker, and you call me, and I get you on the phone or a Zoom, it's done. It's a wrap. The only thing that can happen is that you don't have a budget. The only thing that can happen is you can't afford what I offer. Does that make sense? Your sales team needs to be curious and always learning. That was Sacred Six, number 3. Here's a fourth one. Respect. Sharks respect their environment and they respect other sharks. See, the truth is, how much respect do your coworkers have for one another? How much respect is in your culture? Okay? See, if you want to be respected as the boss, right, and the leader, isn't it important that your tone is respectful? We have a client right now in California, and it's a water heater company. They had 7 million. They want to get to 10 million. And one of their core values they needed to improve was communication. And I asked the question, well, they have a lot of turnover, mind you. And I said, well, what's going on? I said, we got to talk to each other nicer. And I'm like, excuse me? And the leader stood up and said, yeah, I got a lot of work in that area. And everybody's looking at him like, uh-oh. Basically, hot head, temper. And he's not against cussing somebody out. And then he wonders why his culture's bad. Then he wonders why he has high turnover. And now he wonders why the morale is not good. I'm going to ask you again. Are you a coach or are you a food inspector? Are you a coach or are you a food inspector? Okay, come on. Coaches build confidence. Fruit inspectors are very judgmental, okay? Fruit inspectors are very critical. When I flunked out of my first high school, my dad woke me up the next morning. I could hardly get out of bed. I left all my friends, and I was ashamed. And that morning, he said, "Wake up, Moses." My dad loved Moses from the Bible. Get dressed, Moses. Don't be late, Moses. And I thought to myself, like, man, I felt horrible. Here's this guy pulling me out my hole. The truth is, do you have that ability to pull your C students out of their hole? Are you so focused on the bottom line? Are you so focused on revenue? Are you so focused on you that you forgot you're in the people business? The local high school is full of C students. 60% of any high school are C students. McDonald's had the heart of the coach and built a world-class organization. And it's built on a C student. But their heart is that of a coach. It's given to me. Come on. You're not just going to be here flipping burgers. We're going to recruit. We're going to develop you. And we're going to retain you. Ladies and gentlemen, the shark and the suckerfish is powerful because I began to do the homework. Sharks are impact players in that ocean. Why? Because they never stop moving forward. Why? They only look up, they never look down. Why? Because they're curious and always learning. Why? Because they respect their environment and they recognize other sharks. If you go to a zoo, guys, how can all these sharks be in the same tank and not kill each other? I mean, do your employees kill each other? I mean, they critical of each other? Are they a little hostile toward one another? Sharks understand abundance. I don't need to fight over you because there's so much out here. And I recognize that you're a shark. In fact, I respect you as a shark. Great coaches not only build great relationships with each individual employee, they also make sure they manage the relationships of all the team members and teammates. See, sometimes you might have a bully on your team. Sometimes you might have a little clique on your team. Sometimes you might have a little faction, a little division, a little something funny. When you deal with people, guys, let's be honest, stuff happens. But the coach, all he had to do is blow his whistle and remind everyone of their core values. So are your core values alive and well? Are your core values governing? Are we just leading this through your own individual core values and you tuck them in the drawer? See, I can't copycat you. I can't be just like you because I'm not you. But I tell you what, I can execute these 4 core values. Be sweet, baby. Be sweet. And then my mom modeled sweetness. She preached it, and then she gave me the example. My father said, "Go get it, son. Go get it." He preached it, and then he went out and got it. And I was able to observe him practicing what he preached. Now, in life, you might be called a lot of things. I know I am. But there's one word that would bother me if someone called me this name. You know, some of you guys are thinking the wrong name. I'm African American, in case you haven't noticed. The N word is not the word that hurts me. That word don't even bother me. There's one word that would cut me to the core if someone ever called me that. And the word is a hypocrite. It's not the N word. It's the H word. So as a coach, as a leader, as a boss, you got to preach the core values, and then you got to go and live them out. You got to preach the core values, and then you got to live them out. You got to constantly remind your teammates and the organization, what are the core values? And then you have to go and model the core values. You can have a mentality, do as I say and not as I do. Because the truth is, if you don't live the core values yourself, that you guys created as an organization, if you don't abide by the core values that your organization built as an organization, it is so easy in that exit interview for someone to say, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm out. Why? My boss. He's a hypocrite. she's a hypocrite. I mean, they talk about integrity. And here he is lying to a client. I mean, that's not integrity. Now all of a sudden, I don't trust you. Now, mom and dad, hear me clearly. Hear me clearly. Because I love for you to make a whole lot of money, but I want you to have a great family too. See, as parents, we look at our kids in that rearview mirror driving down the street. Hey, put on your seatbelt, baby. Sit up straight. Okay, don't hit your brother. Don't kick your sister. You know how we do it in the rearview mirror. But here's the truth. Your kids are looking right back at you through that same rearview mirror. That rearview mirror goes both ways. And sometimes I work with parents and they say this, well, I need help with my child because my child is so disrespectful. And I often ask the question, is your child disrespectful or have they lost respect? There's a difference. See, a lot of times as a leader, sometimes if we don't practice what we preach, we have a blind spot and the door is a revolving door. People are coming and going and they're talking about your back, behind your back, and they're saying the same things you might say. My boss just doesn't get it. Just doesn't get it. The truth is, sometimes we go home talking about them, but I want you to understand that they get to go home talking about you. That rear view mirror goes both ways. But what if you had some core values? What if you preached the core values? And what if you began to govern your organization, not based on you, not based on your personality, but this organization is based on core values. Core values cannot be an exercise and they go get tucked in a drawer. Because the truth is, if you allow that to happen, your organization is going to be built on individual core values. And as soon as you leave a key person, as soon as that key person leaves, an organization can fall apart. And we've all seen it before. Your organization can't be built on you. Your organization, if you're smart, needs to be built on core values. And you are the number one impact player. And you're the number one shark. And so as I close, guys, I want to remind you to understand there's three kinds of people. There's sharks, there's suckerfish, and there's parasites. I want to make this clear. Because in the book Swim, we nailed it, and that's why we sold so many. The Sacred Six are transforming people, but they're in the story is a guy named Drew. And this man named Drew is the leader. And he recruited right, he developed right, and he retained right. And the first thing he would do is teach his employees the Sacred Six. You see, I believe small companies learn from McDonald's. And they are a training and development organization masquerading as a burger joint. That's the same thing I brought to Jersey Mike's Subs. I said, Peter Crow, let's do what McDonald's did, okay? They did a lot of work on the core, the manager. In fact, look at the human body. When you gain weight, where do you notice it first? What gets tight first? The midsection. Come on, man. When I gain weight, it's hard to button my pants. But when I lose weight, I can always tell, like, man, look, these pants are looser. So the core, your managers, are so important. That's why you must become a training and development organization masquerading in your core business. I got two more of my Sacred Six, and this might be most important. Sharks are made of cartilage. They know when to change. They know when to shift. You see, a shark is always looking for two things. When a shark wakes up in the morning, he's looking for two things. You guys ready? Food and sex. That's all they look for every day. Food and sex. I probably described a lot of guys on here today. All right. So the truth is they're focused on two things, right? So when they wake up in the morning, they are focused, but they're made out of cartilage, which means they're flexible. They know when to pivot. They know when to change. They know when to shift. They know when to pivot. They know when to change. They know when to shift. Our two biggest clients, Jersey Mike Subs and Choctaw Casino and Resorts. We're training 3,000 people. Both of these business leaders said, Walter, we got to change. Can you help us? When COVID hit, Peter Cancro called me. He says, Walter, we're sharks. I'm going to pivot. I'm going to do a bunch of coupons. I'm going to support the franchisees. We're going to get through COVID. I just saw a report. Jersey Mike's is up 40% because the leader pivoted the right way as soon as COVID hit. So think about this massive shark. As powerful as it is, it's made out of cartilage. It knows when to pivot. It knows when to change. It knows when to shift. So can I ask you a question? Do you know when to pivot? Do you know when to change? Do you know when to shift? Are you listening to your people? Because your people are in the war with you. It's not all about what you think and what you see. Trust your people. I have a CEO named Tyler Ellison. I work with them with a company called Freight Quote. They ended up selling Freight Quote to C.H. Robinson. In 18 months, he took Freight Quote from 18 million to 36 million in about 18 months. And all he did was run around to every department once a week and say, hey, marketing, what are you guys seeing and hearing out there? Hey, sales team, what are you guys seeing and hearing out there? Hey, general counsel, what are you guys hearing and seeing out there? Frontline workers, hey, what's going on? What are you guys seeing and hearing out there? Do you know how much confidence that would build in your teammates? I know you're the boss. I know you're the coach. I know you're the leader, and you're working hard with Cultivate Advisors. I know you are, and they do a great job. But today is about the next level, okay? Today is about catapulting you to become not just a boss. I want you to think like a coach. Imagine if you did the same thing that Tyler Ellison did, just periodically, just went to each one of your teammates, each one of your departments, and just ask a simple question. Hey, how's it going out there? What are you guys seeing? What do you guys think? I'm going to blow your mind right now. You guys ready? See, remember that first apartment in college? The first time you got an apartment, you rented it. You gave a security deposit back. And the only thing you cared about was not turning that property back in better shape, was getting your deposit back. You had no intentions on improving that property, did you? In fact, you knew the carpet was going to be dirtier. You knew the wall was going to be dirtier. And your only goal was to have a great time in college and to give that apartment back in enough shape where it doesn't compromise your deposit. That's why we rented it. It was a short-term relationship. We stayed there for a year. And if we were good tenants for a year, they would let us go month to month. We were renters. But what happened when you got your first house? Totally different mentality. You dwell in both places, but your mindset was totally different. You painted the walls, you cut the grass, you knocked out the kitchen, you remodeled. You really cared about this property. You lived them both. But one, you were merely just a renter. But when you got your first home, you became an owner. When Tyler Ellison went around, Freight Quote, asking his teammates what they thought, slowly they became owners. Slowly they began to own the business. Slowly they began to own the company. Slowly they began to own the core values. Slowly they began to own the energy, the motion. And 18 million turned into 36 million in about 18 months because he transformed the culture from renters into owners. See, renters don't pick the carpet, do they? Renters don't even pick the color. Owners, it's different. You make decisions, and you got to stick with them. Just imagine if you were able to transform your culture from renters renting a job to people owning what they do. You see, when people own what they do, they're going to stay a lot longer. When people own what they do, they're going to really take care of it. And when people own what they do, even when they do leave, they're going to give you HR in better shape than what they found it. They're going to give you marketing in better shape than what they found it. Any department you give to them, if they own it, when they give it back to you, whenever that is, 5 years now, 10 years later, 20 years later, whenever you get it back, since they owned it, it's going to be in much, much better shape. Sharks are made of cartilage. I believe some of you guys got to make some pivots today. If you need to make some pivots based on my message, put it in the chat. Just say yes. If you need to make some changes based on what you just heard today, because I do this for a living. This is what I do, man. I coach non-stop, okay? Just like Cultivate Advisors, they coach non-stop. The fundamentals of business. The only way you can reach your potential is by being fundamentally sound. If you need to make some pivots right now with your company, with your leadership, with your aroma, just put in the chat yes. You don't have to get deep. We don't need to get into your business. All I need you to do is just say, yes, Walter, I need to pivot. And that's why sharks run the ocean. They know when to pivot. They know when to change. They know when to shift. I didn't see the yeses. I want to see some yeses. I know this. Hey, that goes. Okay. Thank you. Okay, there they go. There they go. Exactly. That's what leaders do. Be committed to the result, not the strategy. Be committed to the result and never be committed to your strategy. Sharks know when to pivot. They know when to change. They know when to shift. The final one, sharks are great teammates, guys. Sharks need suckerfish, and suckerfish need sharks. Sharks are vulnerable to parasites. If a parasite gets into the nostril or the gills, it can weaken the shark. And that's why the relationship is so powerful. The shark and the suckerfish work together. No matter how big a shark gets, they understand the bigger I get, the more suckerfish I need. So they work in tandem. They connect to the shark. The suckerfish gets free rides in the ocean. The suckerfish gets to go places they can't even take themselves. They get they get to eat good meals because every time a shark makes a kill, there's tons of scraps in the water. But the suckerfish has a job to do. Their job is to keep the shark clean. And they go around, and when they see a parasite, they protect the shark. So remember, there's three kind of people that you got to be able to manage. Sharks who are really leaders, motivated, inspired. These are your impact players. Suckerfish are people who just need a little bit more coaching. Just a little bit more support. When I think about a suckerfish, this is someone just with a little coaching, a little mentorship. Who knows what can happen? And as I close, guys, I'm telling you, when I went on that boat, and the captain says, man, a suckerfish is flailing in the ocean, waiting for a shark to come by, you got to know why I dropped my fishing pole. Because I'm like, oh my God, that explains my success. That's how I got to the NBA. I had amazing coaches. That's how I turned my academic career around. I had amazing coaches. That's what happened to Tom Brady. He was a 6th-round pick, but he got connected to an amazing shark, and he took that suckerfish and transformed him into the greatest of all time. By college football standards, Tom Brady was a C student and a parasite. It's simple. A parasite is a person who takes and does not give. But there's hope for a parasite. And in the book Swim, I'm able to go deeper into what you do with this parasite. And all a parasite is a selfish person. I mean, so if I think about the people business, there's only three kind of people out here that you have to be able to manage. And a great coach knows how to manage all of them. Sharks, suckerfish, and parasites. I lost my dad to prostate cancer. And I'm the youngest in my family. And I'm really good at being a little brother. But I realized I got to put on my big boy pants. Now it's time for me to be a shark myself. And guys, the moment I made that pivot in my mind, my business exploded. Because now I made a decision that I'm no longer the suckerfish. Now it's time for me to be the shark. And I want to take as many people as long as I can and help them reach their potential and help people get to places they never thought they could get. My high school principal, I was a C student, guys, flailing through life, waiting for a shark to come by. There's people in your company that you should be thinking about right now, and they need you to coach them. They need you to mentor them. And so as we get to wrap up and head to our roundtables, my final request for you coaches, and I know you got a lot of work to do. We got 2 other great speakers today, is I need you to drop the machete, okay? Because that's what fruit inspectors do. They walk around with the machete. And I need you to go and pick up your whistle. Why? Because great coaches like Bill Belichick, great coaches like Phil Jackson, great coaches like at McDonald's. I see what happened to Jersey Mike's, guys. We worked on the core. We coached up the core. I see what happened with this casino. I told the leader of the casino, what do you do for your supervisors and your managers? He was like, nothing. I'm a Transform C student. And I told these business leaders, Just give them to me. Just give them to me. I'm going to love on them. I'm going to build their confidence. And I'm going to teach them some fundamentals that they can master. Listen, it's time for us to move on. And hopefully you felt my message. Hopefully you received my message. But most importantly, as we go into our roundtable, guys, I want you to take this conversation deeper on how this plays into your world. I touched on things that you should be doing better as a coach. But before we go into our roundtable, I want to give a shout out to another amazing sponsor. And my wife is my business partner, so this is very special. This is NABO, the National Association of Women's Business Owners. Women are taking over the business because they feel what I say, right? I tell people, man, women are my best audience, people, because they got the heart and the compassion to be a great coach and great leader, okay? So the National Association of Women Business Owners is the only dues-based organization representing the interests of women entrepreneurs in all industries and with chapters across the country. Here's what I want you to do. Go to their booth and learn how you can join now. And you can save $45, okay? So as we go to our roundtables, advisors, get in position right now because we got some hungry sharks coming your way. Make sure you download the workbook. And on page 5, I got some questions for you. There's going to be 6 powerful questions. Get through them, and you're simply going to ask, at the front of each question, how can you better what? And go through those 6 questions. And after you get through the round table, we're going to take a little bit of break. And we got Brittany coming up. Brittany is going to rock the house as well right around lunchtime. But get to your breakout sessions, your round tables, and just have a great morning. And we're just getting started, guys. See you guys soon.